If Jill and I end up in the White House, you're not going to ever have a better friend for education ever, ever, ever than you've had. I promise you that.
That young person that goes to a school where there are no robotics, there is no world language. That's not our fault. That's the fault of a system that intentionally provides one quality of education for one group of children, but denies that justice for another group of children.
It is time to reimagine what our schools should be. And when we prioritize and win for the most vulnerable, underserved students, we win for all kids.
Woo! Our democracy is on trial and justice is on the ballot. And because justice is on the ballot, we the people would like to know what they, the candidates, have to say about justice.
Now, these are not somebody else's kids. They're all our kids. They're literally the kite strings that lift our national ambitions aloft. We're going to triple the amount of money we spend on Title I schools, from $15 billion to $45 billion a year. One, teachers to be paid competitive salaries, $60,000 a year. That's the first thing this Title I school would have to use it for, to equalize teachers' pay, to make them competitive, to get people into those schools to teach. Number two, it would provide for every single 3-, 4-, and 5-year-old to go to school, not to daycare, school. Thirdly, we have to bring in more people to help the teachers. Everyone, raise your hand if you're teaching a public school. Well, guess what? How many school psychologists do you have in your school? How many people do you have that are social workers? How many people? You inherit everything. And so what happens is there's now one school psychologist for every 1,507 students in school. That's ridiculous. We can identify children early on in needs, the needs they have, the social needs they have. Right here in Pittsburgh, you have community schools, and the community schools are doing a hell of a job by partnering with the community. We also have to challenge these children. In these schools, we have to provide advanced placement courses. We cannot teach them like they're not capable of doing things. Teachers should be able to determine the curricula in their schools. You know what it takes to communicate to a child what in fact they need to know. You should be able to set the dynamic. I think it's a big mistake to move in a direction of making sure that it's all about either evaluating the teacher based on testing or evaluating what their class is. For example, if you're teaching an advanced course in calculus, you're going to look really good, man, as a teacher teaching to the test. But if you're teaching a remedial course in reading like Jill used to do, it's going to be hard as hell because you're not going to have the same success rate. The generic point is teaching to a test underestimates and discounts the things that are most important for students to know. And you walk in and you meet a special ed teacher, and on the night that parents come in for student teacher night and have to look at the parent and say, I'm sorry, we just don't have the resources. We don't have the resources. It is wrong. And the reason why I think, and I've proposed and laid out exactly how I'd pay for it, $139 billion over the next 10 years to fully fund IDEA. And I promise you, I'm going to fight like hell to make sure it is fully funded. It's a moral obligation we have.